Hello, Earl Legends. This is Baby Snake, and I wanted to make a video because I've had about 5 people ask me over the past 3 days if their Great Escape is good, if it's going to win, and how they can make their Great Escapes better for winning. So I wanted to make this video because I've explained this multiple times now, and I really just want to put it out there. So first off, the TLDR. It is not stamina, it is not speed that is the issue. No amount of stamina or speed is going to fix it. You are not missing out on stamina. You don't need 1200 stamina. Okay? Great Escape simply has a lower base speed for the entire race outside of the early race. You see this green part here? You see this green? This is the early race, the opening leg. The only time that Great Escape can gain a lead and can get ahead is in this section. After that, it will be slower. This is 17% of the race. Sometimes it will be able to do this and it'll be able to hold up that advantage all the way to the end and activate a bunch of great front runner skills to blast off with the lead. Sometimes it won't. There are ways that you might be able to make this work, but they aren't really a great availability to us right now, and you can just do better with front runners. So TLDR, no, there's nothing we can currently do to make it work. No, it's not great. Uh, if you're good with that, go ahead and go. Otherwise, I will go ahead and give an explanation, a simple explanation first of why this happens. So the simple explanation is that you see these lines here, the blue and the red line. The blue line is going to be this Suzuka. The red line is going to be this Marzensky. The Suzuka is a runaway. The Marzensky is a front runner. During this race, we see that during the first part, the blue line is much higher than the red line. Whenever the blue line is ahead of the red line, the Suzuka is getting ahead. We then see that for the rest of the race after that, up until they get to the acceleration phase, we can talk about that in a second, but for this entire stretch, this is one half of the race. This is half of the race is middle leg. The Suzuka will be slower and will slowly lose their advantage. We can see here, if you look to the right, if you look at the top left here where the numbers are, it says 21.25 meters per second. It says next to that T equals. That is the time they got to this point. So the Great Escape got there at 16.2 seconds, 0.6 seconds ahead of the Marzensky, which is a good amount. 0.6 seconds is quite a lot. We see here that once we get to the beginning of the final leg, the Marzensky is now 0.7 seconds ahead. They got in first place. Now, this is the simulator, and the simulator is not fully accurate to every single thing that can happen. But I will tell you that this does mostly fit experimental data. This is mostly true. For all intents and purposes, you can take this as factual enough. So the velocity is simply just totally different. Yes, they're faster, but that is only for 16 seconds on this 2,000-meter track. Then for another 50 seconds, they are slower, and they will lose on this part here. That is what's causing this. Why does this happen? Well, some people say it's because of stamina. Well, it's not. Here we can show HP. We can see the HP is totally fine. In fact, they're almost equal in HP. There's not a huge difference here. Right? There's not this massive difference in HP. And I'm going to have to tell you, the fact is that if you stick around for the longer explanation, I'll explain, but stamina literally does not play a factor in how Uma's run until this purple section here. So if they were at least winning up to the purple section, you'd be correct. But no, up until this point, speed doesn't even matter. I'll do a quick little cool experiment for you. Let's take off the HP. You see these lines here? You see how it says like 22 and 20, and then over here it says like 20 and 18? Check this out. I'm going to put this to 1. 1 speed. They're going the same speeds they were before. Look, 20 and 20. 19 and 18s. Right? It's crazy. The speed does not actually do anything until you get to the end. The stamina doesn't do anything until you get to the end. Literally the only thing that determines this until you get to this purple part is wit. And no, doing more wit will not help you. That is not the answer here. Finally, once again, I want to say that this simulator is mostly correct most of the time. Check this out. I'm going to take away Runaway. I'm going to take away Frontrunner. This here is saying that 50% of the time when the Suzuka did have Frontrunner with these two builds respectively, and these are both reasonable builds for the respective UMA, with these builds, the Suzuka was losing on average by 5.7 lengths. The positive number means that the Marzensky is winning. The negative number means that the Suzuka is winning. Check out what happens when I take away Runaway and I change her back to Frontrunner. Now she's only losing by 0.86 lengths. She has just gained 5 lengths. They now actually have a very equal chance of winning. So that's what's going on. That's a simple explanation. The speed, the stamina, they don't matter. It is simply that they are slower. Nothing you can do will fix this. Cool. And what we're 6 minutes in already. Jeez. So much for a simple explanation. Well, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's talk about what's actually happening here. So once again, we're back on this. So let's talk about the failures of the simulator first. So the simulator, first off, is showing that we're doing 0% spot struggle for the Suzuka, and we're doing a 99% spot struggle for Marzensky. So basically, implicitly, it's assuming that the Marzensky always gets to spot struggle, and the Suzuka never gets to spot struggle. We're going to see that that is probably fine, actually. Probably not a huge deal in totality, because this does still fit data, right? Spot struggle is actually fairly common. Even if it was down to 50%, that's really just not the point, man. That's just ultimately not the point. So let's start talking about how does stamina work? Because this is the number one thing. People always ask me, what if I had more stamina? Well, here's what would happen if you had more stamina. Here's 8,480 stamina. Did it help you? Did it help you? No, it didn't do anything. It did nothing. So it's not stamina. Why is it not stamina? Let's look at how HP is generated. So in this game, OMAs do not use stamina. They use something called HP. HP is a stat derived from stamina, and then everything that you see, like energy recoveries, like this 1.5% recovery, energy drains, like 3% energy drain, all that stuff is derived off of your HP, right? So HP is generated by this formula here. Max HP, which is the HP you start the race with, is 0.8 times your strategy coefficient times your stamina stat plus course distance. So if you are in a 2,000 meter course, you will add 2,000 to whatever this is. Now, the important part of that means that you get actually most of your stamina from the longer races, and it also means that stamina kind of matters less in the longer races if you have more recoveries. Because if a swinging maestro heals 5.5%, it's going to heal 5.5% of this, right? It's not going to heal 5.5% of this. It's going to include that 3,000 meters, for example, from like a, Kikuo show or something, or 3,200 meters from a tennis show spring. This is why I oftentimes recommend just bringing more gold recovery skills. It's a lot easier to do that than getting crazy stamina points. So, stamina stat's obvious. It's literally just your stamina stat after mood upgrades. So whatever your stamina is, times like 1.04 or whatever if you have great, or times 0.96 if you have bad. Strategy coefficient. So this is the coefficient table. This tells you how much stamina or how much HP each different type of strategy will get per stamina. So we see that late surgers get 100% of their stamina, right? Well, other than this 0.8, but ignore that. So they get 100%. Pace chasers get 89%. End closers get 99.5 for some reason, as if that 0.5 is really going to matter. Frontrunners get 95%, and Great Escapes get 86%. Now, this is part of the reason why people say that you need more HP or more stamina for Great Escapes, and that is true. Because you are getting, 11% less HP, or stamina HP, whatever you want to call it, than a Frontrunner, yeah, you do need a little more stamina. It's not 1200 though. It's like maybe like 60, maybe 70 to make up for it. Right? It's not that big of a deal. It is not that big of a deal. Then we get to HP consumption. How do we actually consume this HP? So HP consumption is going to be equal to this whole equation. And the main point here is this. If you are going above the base speed of that race, you will consume more than 20 stamina, or 20 HP per second. If you're going less than it, you will consume less than 20 HP per second. 20 HP per second is kind of the standard, so to speak, right? What is the base speed? Well, we can look at it since we're already here. Base speed is this equation here. It goes down as the race gets longer, but it's usually around 20 meters per second, meaning that usually if you're going the base speed, you are going 20 meters per second and you're using 20 HP per second, right? They kind of like go hand in hand. So you don't, the stamina part of this is going to be used for later. The course distance alone is going to give you enough HP to do a lot, right? But once we start going faster, this is a squared formula, so it's going to grow pretty quickly. So we see here, like this is a 20 meter per second race. So once we start going 23.86 meters per second, we're going to be using a lot more stamina. We could see that on the show HP curve, right? Here we see it going down like at a nice normal rate, and then here just bam, just goes crazy down. And in addition to this, actually, there's a second special drain, which is that in the late race and spurt, HP consumption is then multiplied by this guts modifier. The higher your guts is, the lower this modifier. At 200 guts, not only are you going to be using a lot more HP per second because of your increased current speed over your base speed, but then it also gets multiplied by your guts. So things get bad pretty quickly in this last part, right? This is where these famous things like, for a 2,000 meter race, like every guts under 400 is equal to 1 stamina, right? Something like that. Nowadays we get enough guts that this is not so important. You pretty much get enough guts to be effective most of the time. But, this might seem really bad, but look, at the end of the race, the Great Escape still has enough stamina, or it still has enough HP. Look at this, we can increase it. At the end of the race, it's going to have nearly 3,000 HP at the end of the race. The UMA doesn't care too much about how much HP it has, so long as it won't have 0 HP at the end. When you enter late race, this purple part, the UMA will look at how much stamina it has. It will look and say, for example, I have 1,385 HP left. It will calculate what its top speed is, and it will decide how fast it can go so it does not run out of stamina by the end. So, for example, if we reduced the stamina down to 748, we could see that we end with about 5, maybe 8 stamina, but the UMA, it didn't change it here for some reason. That's silly. The simulator can be weird. Let's say we go down to 600, right? Now we're seeing it's going negative. When it goes negative, they will drop off speed very quickly. But more than anything, they just kind of start to slow down usually. Yeah, here we go. Now we're seeing the pronounced effects. Now we're seeing that blue line is drifting further and further away. Let's go even further down. Just see, it's drifting further and further away. The UMA will slow down and not go as fast in order to not blow as much speed. This will kill you. This is how you lose races. You will be going slower, so you need enough stamina to get enough HP to actually win the race. You need to have that much HP at the start of the purple part of the last third of the race, and if you do, you're pretty much good. If you don't, your Uma will slow down. There are skills that improve HP during this time. With the anniversary update, those now actually force your Uma to recalculate their strategy, and they will suddenly start going faster again. But anyway, so there's like there's one other thing actually for speed or for HP consumption, and that's going to be the spot struggle mechanic. This is the thing that people talk about all the time. So the spot struggle mechanic in the first like I think it's section. Oh, here we go. Between 150 meters to the 6th section. These little lines down here are the sections. Sections 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 24 in a race. So this is saying that from the 150 meter to the 6th section. So on this track, it's about from the 3rd to the 6th section, right? So from the second half of opening leg to the first fifth of middle leg, you can spot struggle. Spot struggle can be activated by these here. This is telling you like what position the other Uma has to be. They have to be at least 3.7 meters away from you, front to back. They can only be, what is this? I think this is 3 lanes apart from you in either direction. And then for great runners or great escapes, that goes even further. 5 meters with force. Let's see, that's like, I think that's like 7 lanes on either side. Basically, it just says the Uma has to be close enough to you, and if they are close enough to you, you get this speed increase. This is target speed. It'll increase your speed. It'll last for this duration, and that's all fine and good. And yes, that target speed will increase your stamina consumption because you are going to be going faster, or your HP consumption. Now you're going to be going faster. But the biggest thing is that you also get an HP consumption multiplier on top of that. For front runners, it's 1.4 times. For great escapes, it's 3.5 times. So you can imagine that if over a second it uses 20 HP for a great escape, when they spot struggle, it's going to be using like 70 HP per second. It's a lot more. Considering at the end, we're ending with like 80 HP, it's like, whoa, so if we spot struggle, we're basically dead. This is where people say if you have, 1,200 stamina and a bunch of recoveries, you can do well with Great Escapes. The idea being that you will use spot struggle by spot struggling with another Great Escape and make this like distance of, when you get out of here, you have a distance of like 7 lengths roughly, I think, at the end of opening leg. You're like 7 lengths ahead. That's pretty good. If you could spot struggle, you can make that 12, 15, you can make it a huge distance to the point you might be able to win the race. But yeah, you will need, in that case, like 1,200 stamina, and you'll need like Swinging Maestro. And let's see what that comes out to. We'll have 508 HP left, and it's going to drain like 70 HP per second. And it's going to last, spot struggle tends to last about 7 seconds. So it's going to drain about 490. So yeah, if your strategy is to spot struggle with another Suzuka, you will need 1,200 stamina, you will need Swinging Maestro, you will need probably even Rosy Outlook. You're going to need all this stuff. And I'm going to tell you right now, the sad reality is you still might not win with that. In fact, actually, you could lose your race just as easily, because if you get rushed during that, you will use 7.7 times as much HP. And this is also assuming that you're great mood. If you get, let's see, Swinging Maestro with 1,200 stamina, and let's switch this to awful and also switch you to S distance. We see, oh, we only got like 400. Now suddenly a spot struggle is going to kill you, and you're going to lose the race because you didn't get that. Um, so this is why sometimes people will say like, oh, well, the issue is just that we don't have uh, the correct stats to be able to make a Great Escape work. And this is technically true. Um, there are people that will use a double Great Escape strategy because this currently is the only Uma that can use Great Escape. Suzuka's the only Uma that can use Great Escape. So if she doesn't use Great Escape, or if you use Great Escape on her, who's going to be your second Great Escape? Another Suzuka. You are having to rely that other people will bring her. Maybe that's not a terrible idea. Maybe this works. I still don't think it does. You're still barely scraping the ability to defeat a completely run-of-the-mill Marzensky. If you want to do that so badly, I think I would just encourage you to run double front and spot struggle with your own front runner. That's probably a better strategy than doing this, Great Escape spot struggler strategy. Um, Especially because it's hard because you still need, all the power and all the wit and all the guts to actually make it work, and you need all the skill points to make it work. Maybe you could do all those things, and even then, you are one nice nature debuff from losing. You're one nice nature debuff away from losing. If you get a single debuff, you will lose. With the optimal stamina and optimal guts and optimal everything, you can do this if you do not get debuffed, and if there is another Suzuka in the lobby, and that other Suzuka does not have higher wit and higher guts than you. If they have higher guts or wit, you lose. If they have, a debuffer, you lose. There's so many things that can go wrong. But there are ways to make it go right. So I'm kind of rambling here. It's Christmas Day, and I want to make this video already, and I did, and I wasn't really satisfied with it. I'm really not satisfied with this one either. I mean, this is like 22 minutes of me just rambling about crap. But hopefully you get something out of this, man. And Merry Christmas, and treat my ramblings with indulgence. If you have any questions, hit me up on the Discord, ask me what's up, and I will try to answer your questions. Goodbye.